And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite, and the Streisand effect, because apparently when I realize I'm running part of this introduction on absolute muscle memory and autopilot, and think, yeah, I can just go ahead and do that while I hit one or two buttons, that's when I get all kinds of screwed up. Because hubris, thy name is Shujin. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. Hi, I'm your main host. I'm known as Hubris. I'll be the one that's going to be screwing everything up tonight. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name, Shujin. Let me start off by saying this has not been a really great day, but it's got nothing to do with any of this. But at least I've got more than just me on the show right now, so that's good. From the top left corner of North America, yes, I actually remember the old intros, because muscle memory is, screw that noise. Dalan is able to make it back for us tonight. Hi, man.
Hey, yeah, a few more spoons in the drawer now. Let's see how this goes. Maybe I'll let you all know what's been happening to my ass lately.
From the Midwest of the U.S., Brigid, good evening.
Good evening, and yay, spoons! I'm so glad you finally got a few more.
And from just over the water into Paris, France, just making it in time so that I can set up your name badge. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
Got you a little on the low side for the time being, but you're perfectly clear. Good. How are you guys? Dalan and I, obviously, we get the opportunity to check in fairly regularly. Bridgette Joseph, how are you guys doing this week so far?
Doing okay. I have to actually go back and deal with people in Meat Space Monday, so I'm a little apprehensive, but that's what things like Xanax and Ativan and things are for, right? Just get some benzos and all will be well.
So what you're saying, Bridget, is I really shouldn't be sending you like my Tom McDonald playlist then, huh? He's got a thing about those particular drugs.
Well, I mean, I'm either going to have some of that, ambient mood music or benzos just to cope with people again, because I've forgotten how to people.
Okay, yeah, definitely not the Tom McDonald stuff, because there are a few songs that'll make you just want to...
Kill people.
I was going to say, it might not be such a bad thing, all things considered.
And Joseph, how have you been doing?
Hanging in there.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I won't be seeing my colleagues until next month, but other than that, yeah.
Is that because of Les Couf?
Les Couf? C'est quoi Les Couf?
A lot of YouTubers use the Couf to talk about the
C19.
How is it that one guy puts? Yeah, or the unspecified virus of unknown origin.
Okay, all right, yeah. One's on holiday, the other's on télétravail.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, things were pretty calm last week, actually.
That's good.
Cool.
Good to see you back, Dalan.
Yeah. Like I said to Shujin yesterday, the past 3 weeks have been good, but it's just been slowly getting more spoons back in the drawer, as it were.
What is this term, spoons?
You want to take this one, or do you want me to do it?
The long and short of it is, and I don't remember who started it or where it started from, was the idea that somebody had tried to come up with an analogy to try to explain what it's like when you are There could be a number of different things, including clinical depression, where somebody has said you have a certain number of spoons through the day that you can use for. I mean, the analogy sort of breaks down because you're not actually talking about food directly, but
No.
you have a certain number of spoons in a drawer, and each of those spoons is an amount of mental work that you need to do for a certain task. And sometimes getting a shower is 1 spoon. Making food, it could be 2 spoons because maybe you gotta be working and thinking a little bit harder about a couple of different things. And when you get done with the number of spoons in your drawer, or you don't have enough for something that you want to do or somebody else wants you to do, you're kind of shot.
Yeah.
And if you try to push past that and borrow spoons from the next day, first off, that doesn't work out really well. And the day that spoon comes from is usually not starting off in a good place. And it just compounds.
To put it more in context, and I do remember where this came from. I remember who it came from with us, and it was Jinya.
Yeah.
She's the one that brought this up. And it has a lot to do with social anxiety. If you have to deal with people, if you have to be in a crowd, let's say it's part of your day to day, and if you are, if you've got other things going on in your life, those are going to take up some of your spoons or your mental energy, to the point where if you're so wrapped up in your own life, you might not have enough to actually deal with other people or deal with potentially volatile situations. And if it's a situation that you don't necessarily, like, you're not obligated to be in, but let's say it's something you used to do a lot of, but now you just don't have the energy because you're dealing with all this other crap. That's what it means to just not have enough spoons. It's basically, I am burned out. And that's really what happened to me. I mean, I don't want to take up everybody's time with it, but these past 14 months have been hell. Looking for a job is one thing. Getting resumes out, getting interviews, getting the PFOs, that's fine. But when you put on a business shattering pandemic like what we're having right now, that gets compounded because there's a level of uncertainty when you're looking for work. That's compounded when there's less and less work out there because everything's shutting down. So to say, I tried to do the stiff upper lip, put on the brave face, but that only lasted for so long. And then you look at the news, you look at other things, and you see people in places being ripped apart by the insanity that was 2020. And to borrow a line from Henry Rollins, I saw people I know turn into people I knew. I found an ugly side to a lot of people I once thought were pretty decent.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a betrayal. And I just had to step down because otherwise I was going to explode. And then I got that phone call, and I just remember calling my family, and my hand was shaking. I could barely dial the number. I think with one, I finally had to tell my phone, dial this effing number. So it's and yeah, my first week back, oh my God. By Tuesday, honestly, by my first Tuesday, by the time I logged off at the end of the day, I damn near collapsed at my desk. It's like brain is hard.
Yeah.
My head was not used to doing this anymore. It was it's like God, I have to think again. Oh man.
You know,
But
And
now
why did you have to? Why were you calling your family?
tell them I got a job.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because everybody's phoning and checking on me like, are you okay? Is everything fine? My sister was talking about, okay, what what was what was she gonna do if and when the money ran out
Yeah.
for me? And she had all these plans, these contingency plans, like, look, I'll hold something from you in trust, give you the money, and then you pay it back when you're working and you get your stuff back. I'm like, I'm really glad it never came to that, because
At least
you
you
know
had that option.
Yeah.
You've got your people.
there is that.
yeah. This
Yeah.
I'm sorry to pause you right here, but the way that this is going to turn out, this is actually going to end up working very well into the rest of the general conversation once we get into it anyway. So that's an aspect that's going to be wonderful. For the record, I have the last of my beers from the last collection that I got. So this is the Reisdorf Kolsch. We've only got one left. I did give Dalan a little bit of grief when he wasn't able to make it for the oh God, what the hell was it, that jalapeno pepper ale?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was
That's nasty.
that was
Okay, just to vindicate myself and make sure that I had no part in this at all, I didn't recommend that one, did I?
You know what? Sure. Yeah, let's go with that so that I've got something to hold over you later. How about we do that? So what have we got? Oh, we've got a very... Oh, I've seen this color before.
Unfiltered, from the looks of it.
Ah.
Oh, wait a minute. No, maybe not. No, it's filtered. Never mind.
Huh, and there's still more in the can.
I'm having a ginger beer.
Oh,
I'm
is
having
that
water.
Wait a second. That ginger beer, is that the one that I tried like a couple of weeks ago?
No, this is a different one.
That's okay.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
It actually
I'm
has
just-
little pieces of ginger in it. It's so cool.
I'm just thinking back to the last time I bought beer and the liquor store I was at. What is the male Karen?
Chad.
Is it the Chad?
Chad.
Okay. Well, this Chad, who was older than me and bigger than me, beer gut wise, was tearing a strip off the cashier because apparently certain beers were on sale, and he bought ginger beer, which apparently, according to this store's classification, was not really a beer per se. It was more of a cocktail. And he wanted this discount. Apparently those $5 meant a whole lot to him. Okay. I can understand needing that $5, especially given the situation we were in. But this assistant manager who's filling in for a cashier who's probably hasn't worked a till in probably 10 years is not the person to yell at for it.
No.
And finally the manager came down and just, told the guy GTFO. So when it was my turn, I walked up, I put my 6-pack down, my create your own 6-pack. Yes, we have places like that here too. And said, okay, just for the record, I said, I'm pretty sure all of these are beer. But if you want to check, go right ahead. And she looked at me and just started laughing. I said, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And she just goes, yeah, I haven't worked a till in X number of years. And then she told me like she was a manager, and because there was so many people, I'm like, it's just, there's no excuse for being an asshole.
No, there isn't. Okay, so the beer in this case is very much just beer. So It's not as strong as like the Budweiser kind of thing, which is what I base a lot of stuff off of because, 70s as a kid, come on, you help me out here in the yard. Here, have a sip off of the Budweiser because,
Yeah. On a scale from 1 to Bud. There you go.
kind of.
That's all of that.
Yeah. So, I'm going to do what I usually do. I'm going to let it sit there. I'm going to let the temperature equal out a little bit, see what happens because, it's relatively fresh out of the fridge. And, we'll see where it goes from there. Who knows? Might change taste. Might not. When all is said and done, maybe I'll even finish it. I'm not putting my my bets on that right now because I'm not a betting man. The first Buffalo Bills Super Bowl taught me that. I'm not a betting man. Yes, I'm still a little bit bitter about that, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, let me get things rolling over here because stuff. So with 5 minutes on the clock for you, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now, or double F. It might be the better way of putting it. In musical notations, double F is otherwise known as fortissimo, which is, Italian because, music notation is primarily in Italian. And F forte is loud, strong, you get the idea. And double, well, obviously, that's theoretically the maximum that you should play. There are other situations where, it'll go higher, 3, 4, 12, but that's for somebody that's got handlebar mustache like you wouldn't believe and wrote a piece of music called Enter the Gladiators in the late 1800s, but I digress, believe it or not. In this case, F and F. This time it's for Shujin and Phyllis. We know full well that the nickname that we had for my wife was Fujin. In Japanese, it's supposed to be, wife. Shujin is supposed to translate as husband, or, now this is where it gets a little weird, master. And I'm saying that in scare quotes because it's more along the lines of master of the house. Like, as I've explained it many a time. The kind of same way that Lurch would greet you at the door. Master Adams will see you now. That kind of thing. We're coming up very close onto another year since her passing. And May is not my good month. It's never been easy. I don't think that it ever will be. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. It always will be. It's gonna suck and it's gonna hurt, and there's not a hell of a lot of anything that I or anybody else can do anything about. So now on top of that, I'm concerned for Phyllis. She's been around and she's been in the chat and she's been a close personal friend. Somebody that I can actually feel like I trust for a long time now. And for me to say that I trust someone, that is not said lightly at all. I have serious trust issues and security concerns for myself. And I have for a long time. There's nothing to be done for my wife. I know right where she is, and every once in a while I will make a dark joke about, considering that, she's literally, in. But Phyllis, I'm worried for. It's fair to say that I am scared, terrified even, because really worried. She's in the hospital and, I can't get minute-by-minute updates as to what's going on, which is just nobody's fault. Who in the hell can? The best I can do is just wait to hear and trust that somebody who is in a professional medical establishment, that no news is actually good news. I can only hope. And being somebody who does not believe in a, go ahead and pray to the sky so that things will work out better, I can't even do that. So the best thing that I can do sometimes, the only thing that I can do sometimes, for either one, for myself, sometimes I talk to the sky. I look for the one star that would have been directly overhead for Shujin when she passed. For her, I'll talk to the sky. For Phyllis, I'll just scream. It won't do anything for anybody. But I feel like I have to do something. That's about all I can do. It's episode 362 on the docket runner, Long Road of Recovery. We know that stuff has been really difficult on everybody for a very long time now. And Dalan's opening with it all is only just a portion of it all. But we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that. And I will explain when we get back after the horrible scopes, the actual impetus for tonight's show. I did go looking up information on Rafe Badawi. We have no new information on him. So as of the recording of tonight's show, it has now been 8 years, 10 months, 27 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our hopes and thoughts are still with you and your family. We are still waiting for you. So, with that, how about we go ahead and deal with the horrible scopes? Oh, right, and I got completely off my game, by the way. Over in the live chat, Stephanie, by the way, hi, thank you, hon. And yeah, we're still kind of waiting to find out when Phyllis will be able to rejoin us again, because Lord knows, having her type would be all kinds of wonderful. I guess it'll wait. We'll get around to it. So anyway, it looks like we got everybody over here, so that works out well. So, for those of you that know what your astrological signs are, cool, great. Those of you that don't, make it up as you go along. It doesn't matter. There are plenty of programs out there that'll tell you, including you could print off the interior ball for a magic 8-ball and try to come up with something yourself. Good luck on that, because there are 12 astrological signs and 20 sides on that die, so go ahead and roll a natural 1. It's not going to help you any much better. Let me kick you off over here. Aries, it's just your luck. The world becomes your oyster, and you're allergic to shellfish. But really, who wants to eat raw oysters? It's like putting a slug on a spoon and swallowing. You'll do better just to ignore the world this week. Dalan?
And yeah, because Bridget wants to do Gemini.
Taurus,
Stock up on muscle relaxants and pain medications on Monday, because you're going to throw your back out. That food truck will be there for hours, so stop rushing to get there. Look, the only thing they're going to run out of is pistachio gelato. And really, is anybody going to miss that?
Gemini, you think the world is all about you, and it is. Just don't let Leo know. They think it's all about them. And now that the secret's out, all your Leo friends hate that we're right about that.
Cancer Moonchild. Am I muted?
Nope, you're fine.
no, you're fine.
Okay. Point for. Raising sheep is dangerous. They're easy prey for many predators. So add just one alpaca to your flock. They'll protect the herd by proverbially curb stomping the hell out of any wolf that gets too close. Plus, they eat what the sheep eat.
As an aside, by the way, Joseph, it sounds like we're getting a little bit of feedback through you when you're not talking.
Really? Okay. Sorry.
No worries. Hey, all the different things that we've gone through with all the different communications protocols, this happens sometimes.
How's that?
Well, it's still coming through because I'm talking, but it's
Okay.
we'll see
Are
how
you
it
getting
works.
feedback? Okay.
Yeah.
Geez, sorry.
Is what it is. Don't worry about it. Leo, that isn't romance in the air. That's donuts. Get vaccinated, bring your proof to a local Krispy Kreme, and you might get entered into a raffle to ride the sugar glazing machine. Or maybe just get a free donut.
COVID or heartburn? Tough choice. Anyways, Virgo, your arrogance is almost as disgusting as your denial of being arrogant. Ask the people in your circles and watch them hesitate just before they answer. You'll have all the clues you'll need to better understand yourself.
Libra. We think we found a good job for you this week, Libra. Anti-allergenic meals. Chocolate-coated peanuts keep all the tasty chemicals away from folks who are allergic to them. So why not chocolate coat other allergenic foods, like shellfish? Okay, never mind. This is a horrible plan.
So, what if you're allergic to both chocolate and nuts?
Just kill yourself now and get it over with.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be sure to tell that person I know that, and can I send them your way afterwards with the response?
Sure. Remember, that's
right.
1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. Dial carefully and good luck. Joseph, you're up.
And muted.
Is this any better?
Yep.
That is better.
Yeah, okay. I was
Because
on
we
the external microphone.
Ah.
Okay, where are we? I lost my way while I was trying.
Scorpio.
Oh, Scorpio. Okay. The best way to clean towels is to buy only white ones. They can be bleached whenever you need without worry about the colors running.
It's true. By the way, since it was just Dalan and myself last night reading these, we're kind of like rereading the same ones that we had last night. I just realized.
Yeah, in the exact same order.
Yeah, it is exactly that. Sagittarius, we know you hate the winter weather, but look at the bright side. No mosquitoes or hornets buzzing around your head while you're outside. Now that spring has sprung, watch out for bats feasting on all these little annoyances.
Wouldn't say no to that. Anyways, Capricorn, it isn't your job to keep the world spinning. That's what Newton's first law of motion is for. Look, if you try to break that law, the punishment will be epic beyond even Dr. Tyson's imagination.
Aquarius. Yes, you have made a great decision this week. Please try to keep it in your pants. Fruit of the Looms only go on the outside of your blue trousers when they're red, and no capes.
Pisces. Keep calm and take a bubble bath with a friend. If that friend happens to be the stuffed variety, just remember they will outweigh you when the water gets cold. Have a plan on how to get out safely.
And those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you didn't like them, you didn't bribe us. And considering that nobody bribes us, they get what they deserve. Although I have been told this week that I've been unnecessarily mean-spirited to Aquarius. I need to clarify. I don't write these. These come from the stars themselves. I had nothing to do with it. Not a damn thing.
Hey, but you're the interpreter.
I don't know if it's Greek. I don't know. All I know is that here I am. I'm doing my thing. I'm trying. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there.
Well, we could read them in Greek next week.
Yeah, we could.
I'm not going to make the joke.
Good man.
I
You're
refuse.
you're a better man than I, because I was almost about to.
Yeah. I should caveat that with I will not make the joke this week.
That's a good point.
Instigator.
All my setting up for nothing.
No. It just might be that the payoff is going to happen later. So now we get to the highly uncomfortable part, where I get to put Brigid on the spot. We talked earlier this week, and you would know best what can and can't be said. So how about you however you think can be properly stated at this point?
Well, I hate to keep harping on COVID because we're all so sick and tired of COVID and people, saying, oh, it's just the flu and blah, blah, blah. But there was a patient of mine who had been in the hospital since March 17th of last year.
Yeah, and every once in a while we had kind of done a little bit of a check-in, whether on air or off air, just to kind of get an idea as to how things have been going.
Yeah.
Hoping.
And this person was finally let out of the hospital on January 5th. I mean, not completely out. It was transferred to a long-term care facility because of complications from COVID and being in ICU for so long, 10 months. And it was one of the first patients that we'd ever had that came down with it, and the person was too young to qualify for Medicare or anything like that. And so I was very, very relieved when this person finally left the hospital. And needless to say, they went through hell the whole time that they were in. And I'm trying not to give any identifiers because of HIPAA and all that other stuff. But then I found out this week that the patient didn't make it. Person died March 1st. And it just really crushed me after going through all of that hell for so long to not make it.
There are a lot of
it. And I feel bad too because with being one of the first patients that had this before anybody had any idea of what best practices were or how to treat them or anything like that. There's thinking too, is there anything that could have changed that outcome? But I don't think so.
No, probably not, unfortunately.
And it just really killed. Yeah, it just really upset me to find out that after all that just died anyway.
So, it's a year that they went through of sometimes not necessarily being conscious, and considering some of the stuff that people in that situation had gone through, I sincerely hope they were not conscious for. And we've known people through our lives, maybe once removed, who've gone through a lot over the course of a very long time. Dalan is an example. Unfortunately, several times over now. I had to go through for my wife, and it was almost 3 years a slog, and eventually, only to find out that the one drug that might have been able to save her, had she gotten a year in advance, maybe still be. And the stories that she told me of the girl who would be getting radiation therapy before her, and she was 9 years old. You know, it's hard to go through what we've been going through with this pandemic for the last year plus, and not be affected. It's simply not a possibility. So it's okay to kind of take an opportunity now to reflect on, yeah, that was bad. Yeah, this has been bad, and it's still bad, but it's not as bad now, and that's helpful. So I'm really hoping that we can get through some of this and we can come away with it with a little bit of an appreciation that we are not as bad off as we were. And man, we're fortunate to have been strong enough. Not strong, strong enough.
And I think that's where we really have to start looking at the facts, the numbers. While Bridget was talking there, I did a little poking around. I lost the link now. I'll see if I can find it again. But it was a website from the CDC where you could actually see statistics by state for COVID, everything from cases to vaccinations to weekly deaths. And you could see where the big spikes were, and you could see where we are right now. There is an uptick, at least in a couple of states that I looked at, but it's not as drastic as what we saw even 8 months ago. And the reason I say we really need to start watching the numbers is because there's so much confusion out there right now because everybody's got a little agenda. And I'm not trying to sound too tinfoil hatty here, but there are people that are banking on the fear of COVID to keep going, to excuse certain actions, certain behaviors, to justify things that they are doing, because under normal circumstances, or if this ever ends, they could be called to task for it. And that scares the hell out of them. And yes, I'm vague booking the hell out of that one because it could apply to a lot of things. So anybody that's listening to this, all three of us, all three of you, watch the numbers. And if somebody says is in direct contradiction to it, call them on it. Like if somebody says that you can't do this because COVID. Well, yeah, but there hasn't been a new case in X number of weeks. How can you continue to justify this? It's that's the worry, is that people are going to use this fear to maintain restrictions and continue to latch on to whatever power they may have gotten as a result of this. Again, vague booking the hell out of it, but I think we can tar a lot of people with that same brush.
I think it's safe for we Americans to go ahead and say, it's not like we've never seen that happen before. The Japanese American internments, the Patriot Act. No, we've never seen that happen before. That would be wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing is,
Yeah.
Never let a good crisis go to waste. It is a terrible phrase, but sadly, it is a motto for a lot of people in positions of power. It's like, okay, the world is going to pot. How can I profit off this? How can I turn this to my advantage?
Yeah. And I just pulled up the stats from Worldometer.
Mm-hmm.
New cases reported for yesterday, and I always use the yesterday or previous day or whatever as opposed to right now because data's not been collected yet, and this is whatever it is they've gotten so far. New cases. Number 2 is Pennsylvania at about 1,700. Anybody want to take a wild guess as to who's first?
Florida?
Florida.
California. Really?
I
Huh.
didn't check, but I was guessing Florida.
I was thinking California.
Pennsylvania's number 1,737. Florida 3,319.
Yeah, Californians
It's
are going
double.
back down.
It's double. And it's only going to get worse because, let's face it, people want to go for, be late spring break or early summer vacation now that, some schools, colleges, universities are out. And they don't want to do jack shit.
Yeah, and I hate to fearmonger here, but especially with kids not being able to get vaccinated yet, and I'm talking like 10, 11-year-olds because trials have started, but they're still trials.
Yeah. I think the one I heard for is 8 years old at the moment is the youngest.
Yeah. But the trouble now
they've authorized it for like 12 and up, but
Yeah,
there's
but I
still
mean,
trials on the younger ones. But what my concern is they weren't keeping track of these numbers before, but at least in my state, they are keeping track of something called MIS-C, which is multiple inflammatory syndrome, and it's it's related to COVID. It's something that affects children who get infected with COVID, and they may not have symptoms at first, but then they get really, really sick. And then, they start having problems with inflammation in their heart and their lungs and their kidneys, and it can kill them.
Yeah.
And we've had 58 cases of that now, and the average age of the person affected with this is 9.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are going to be in this situation for the long run.
They're the ones that I'm worried about with people being on the quote unquote honor system of, okay, if you're, you can say that you've had your vaccines and walk around without a mask. I'm worried about those kids.
Yeah. But it's the myopia of the masses. It's the I was thinking about this. Like I saw the title of the show earlier today when I went out, and I just started rolling it around in my head while I was driving. Trying to figure out why. What is so? Why are people like this? I mean, you see the numbers, you see footage of people in hospitals that are completely and utterly messed up as a result of this. You've got people who've recovered from it. And I use the term recovered loosely because you don't walk out of this unscathed from what I understand. This will mess you up for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So why? And all I can think of is, and I am going to be throwing a ton of shade right now. So if YouTube wants to demonetize us, fine. But the media has been absolutely no help with any of this. Because Monday, masks are bad. Tuesday, masks are required. Wednesday, you must now triple mask. Thursday, we're beating COVID. Friday, we're all going to die. There's so many mixed signals coming to people
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think anybody right now knows which way is up. compound that with the fact that a lot of businesses, like smaller businesses, even when this is over, they're not coming back.
Yep.
People are scared. And when they're scared, they get angry. And I know it's not just an American thing, but people fear that which they do not understand or which is different. They fear change. And that's where a lot of the anger, the protest, I think, comes out, is that these people are scared to death because they don't know what's going on, and they can't get a straight answer out of anybody as to exactly what's going on. The media's let them down. The government has let them down because, Florida says everything's fine. California says stay at home. New York wants to weld everybody's doors closed. And I'm exaggerating there, just so you know.
Not by much.
But my point is, it's like asking 5 different people what color the sky is, and you'll get 5 different answers. And every one of them will tell you that they're right. And if you don't believe this one over that one, well, then you're the idiot.
3 quickies. One, if memory serves, they actually did weld people's doors shut in China, according to.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
That's what I was using. Yeah, that's where I drew it from.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people understand we're not, we're not going over the deep end and making up shit.
There are real world examples of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If I'm calling out a dick move like that, I've got sources. All right.
Yeah, fair enough. 2. Crap! I lost my train on whatever the second one. Oh, that people giving different descriptions for the sky's color. The problem is how people describe what it is that they see because of what they've been told it's supposed to be. Because my version of blue may actually be different from somebody else's for various different reasons, but I'm not saying that anybody's right or wrong on this one. It's just that sometimes it's not always as clear cut, sadly. But the other one,
okay.
The last one was, you're going through this, and I hear it in my head yet again. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
Yeah. And I was going to add, I was just about to add on, based on what you said with number 2 there.
Yeah, the color.
A lot of people are splitting the wrong hairs.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. No argument. But the only reason why I brought it up is that there are times where people will report back because of what they've got already primed in them. And laying that at the foot of news reporting is not incorrect, but it probably doesn't exactly give enough of the story on that. Not the least of which is how many news desks actually have science reporters, dedicated science reporters anymore.
Well,
it's few and far between.
But these days too, you have science, but you also have science, DEH science, which is whatever buzzword gets me my ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, you got to look at some of these people, and unfortunately, every time I think of a journalist doing a report on something, I keep thinking of Jim Acosta from CNN. I'm sorry, but he has the face that is born to be a target for the chicken cannon. I'm reaching back, I know. And I know a lot of people love CNN, but just that guy to me is just poison. But that's the thing. People are more interested in listening to the op-eds than they are in actually listening to the news.
Yep.
And that is very dangerous, especially now, because guys like Acosta, oh God, there's another guy in CNN that he's a total race baiter. I can't remember his name. And then on the other side, you've got Tucker Carlson. You've got, uh, I don't know if Hannity's on there anymore or if he finally bowed out and fled to some island.
No,
I don't
Hannity's
know.
still got his show.
Okay. So like you've got your pundits on both sides. And quite frankly, I don't think you should be listening to any of them
I
because
agree with you.
because they're a bunch of opinionated blowhards who are more interested in stroking their own egos than actually informing people of just exactly what the hell's going on. But unfortunately, they are the charismatic ones.
That's just
And
it.
yeah.
It's there's a dynamic going on there that
Hmm.
that these talking heads, the top of Fox News or whatever, um, while their viewership has developed a certain quote unquote trust in them, and they trust these talking heads more than what they hear on the news. Like whatever they hear on the news is quote unquote anonymous source. They don't know the person putting out the info. So, they count on their leader, decider, provider, whatever, to interpret the news for them.
Yeah. There's a great quote, if you'll permit me. The mistakes of leaders are amplified by the numbers who follow them without question. Charismatic leaders tend to build up followings, power structures, and these power structures tend to be taken over by people who are corruptible. I don't think that old saw about power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely is accurate. I think power attracts the corruptible. And that's from Frank Herbert, author of Dune.
Hmm.
And having read his books, he had a real problem with people with so-called charismatic leaders. He had another one. I'll have to find it, but it had something to basically, if you have a charismatic leader, you better check the warranty on him or something like that. I'll have to look. It was really tongue in cheek. Um, but basically, what it goes to say is that if your leader is very charismatic, you should really watch your ass around him because he's bad news. They're bad news.
Yeah, they're they have their own interests at heart more than anything else. But it's not only well. There's a whole spectrum of people in that position because there are people who in history who have really wanted to fix things and have quite naively found themselves in positions of power and then after realized how gullible most people are and then been corrupted. And then some people, they know from the get-go how gullible people are. And I'm talking a lot of these bottom-feeding televangelists.
Mormons.
And yeah, oh fucking yeah, Mr. Smith himself. Jesus, I saw his portrait the other day, and that motherfucker couldn't even pose for a painting without looking smug.
Who was that?
Um, Joseph Smith.
Oh, that dipshit.
Oh yeah, somebody had gone through all the work to do an oil painting of him, kind of.
Well, I mean, when you spend most of your life, with your head covered in a hat, looking at golden plates, and uh, you gotta
Can
be,
you
you
can
gotta
you
wonder.
imagine yourself in that position? I mean, just like
Well, the other thing I gotta wonder is what kind of balls was that guy tripping when he was doing this? I'd
yeah.
really like to know what kind of medication he was taking because that would have to have been some incredible stuff.
But
Like,
the thing is, like, I think he just started. He started off by doing treasure hunting. He basically clued into how fucking greedy people are.
hmm.
And do you know this story? How he got started? Where he would go to a new landowner owner and say to them, and go, "Oh, there's treasure somewhere on this territory, and well, if you want, I could dig for it, but you have to pay me." So basically, he was being paid to dig for nothing. That's how he got started.
Gee, a grifter creating a religion. Where have we heard this before?
But yeah, he was even condemned. I just don't believe I can't understand why anybody can call themselves a Mormon today. Because I
Because
mean, just like it's open knowledge, that Joseph Smith was convicted.
Because they don't, the people don't know any better. It's how they were raised. And you look at these, you look at these isolationist communities. You look at the Amish. You look at the Mennonites. You look at the Hutterites. You know, in an age that we have now, why would you continue to live like that? And it's just because it's the only way they know, and they keep people isolated.
That's their only choice. That in today's
Yeah,
world, they basically have to either dominate the greater community or isolate themselves completely from it. That's
yeah.
the only way they're going to make it, and that kind of describes all the
And
the
um,
evangelist bullshit that's been going on through manipulating politics and everything
yeah,
over the
and
past.
and I'll throw this one out here for the Mormons. Uh, Again, this is me being very cynical, but I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that, well, in normal society, monogamy is the trend. Now, I'm not wrong. That's kind of what normies do. Uh, well, in a Mormon society, men aren't really restricted by that. And I think, certain teenagers might consider that a fringe benefit. Morbid as that sounds, you know, that could be an incentive to stick around. That, what, you can have her and her and her and her and her when she's another couple of years older, and her and her and her, and they're all yours. Why would you want to go anywhere else?
And it's funny if you dig down through that, um, in a male-dominated um,
Hmm.
hierarchy sort of system. If you dig down, it at the base you've got the underlying threat that men are more physically, uh, well, they're stronger than women. It all at the root of it is that threat. You will be subversive, or else,
Yeah.
and that just doesn't stick.
Submissive.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that just like submitting the other. I mean, no matter the situation, it comes over might over mind. So, but that just doesn't stick. In our information age, it's just not going to work anymore because I mean, male dominance. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the men lost their dominant position when we stopped hunting for our own food, and you know, it's been proven, not proven. It's demonstrable that women are just as capable of as men on every other level. You know, so yeah, that's not only a thing of the past. I mean, it's been a thing of the past since hey, almost, in my opinion, almost like 2,000 years.
and guys keep forgetting that women who are shorter than them have a statistical advantage of being able to get that one quick shot. What is it, between the third and fourth rib on the body's left side? Am I remember the right spot? Because a little bit of an upward from there, even up the score real quick. Have I got the right spot?
Well, then in that case, children have a even higher advantage.
Yeah,
Just
but they
the
don't have the
larger the
upper arm
men's that
strength. That's the difference.
you don't
And
need that.
well, there's a question of aim too. And most kids, before they realize, where that one particular sweet spot is, they know another sweet spot.
Yep, that's why they throw Legos all over the floor.
Well, there's that too, but I'm thinking more, the Nutcracker sweet. But not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention
Shh,
something about
don't tell the children.
that. I don't really think that's too much of a thing. Stephanie has also dropped something over here, and this bears mentioning. If one man has multiple wives, many other men have none. Yeah, and that's one of the other things. In these male-centric societies, it's not entirely uncommon for the up-and-coming young blood to be kicked out for some transgression or other so that they can hold on to that dominant position and collect up as
Oh,
many as they can. So,
look at
You've just
look at
described,
nature.
yeah, you've described herd animal, or
Yeah,
like basically you've got the dominant male and you've got the under, you know,
yeah.
um,
Wolf pack, lion's pride,
yeah,
same thing.
and
It's
the young gun disses the alpha male, the lead, and they get kicked out of the pack or whatever,
yeah.
or they have to be humiliated. And I think humans are a little above that behavior, or we
uh,
should be.
should be.
Yeah.
Should be. Now,
And this is where there's a lot of we claim to be enlightened. We claim to be above the animals in terms of society, but really, in a lot of cases, I think we are very much like them. We just dress it up a little bit differently because, you know, uh, we have technology, we have language, we have different things, but at the core of it, a lot of what we do in society can almost be always seen in nature in one way or another.
We have technology, but there's one thing that worries me is it's just how many of us, you know, for many of us, a gift from the gods because they have no mastering of it at all. If the power, I've said this many times before, but watch what happens when the power grids go down and
Oh, I know.
the food chain, the food supply dries up.
Oh, yeah. I
We're gonna
mean,
see everybody go back to an animal state pretty fucking quick.
well, I mean, if everything had stayed completely locked down with COVID, like it had at the beginning, where store shelves were suddenly empty and shipping logistics were suddenly completely messed up.
Oh, we already saw it with toilet paper.
Well, exactly. But the thing is, if it had lasted any longer, like if we were still here now where we were then, we'd be very close. I think a lot of us would be in that animal state right now. And everybody who fully embraces the Second Amendment would be locking and loading as we speak.
And that, oh, yeah, side, okay, tangent, but um, I kind of put myself in a kind of a funny thought situation. And I'm thinking about all these people that they claim to own guns because they want to protect and protect this and that, protect themselves. And I've kind of saw myself in this kind of situation. Like there's a guy toting his guns and all that. And yeah, I want to protect my family. And I look behind him, and he's living in a cozy trailer home. But I mean, and it's going back to this basic animal instinct we have. I think really the Second Amendment, why it's so popular, is because there's this underlying. If you have an advantage over your neighbor, you can take their shit. Let's put it that way.
something to be said for that.
Um, yeah, I'd sooner have someone, who can, I'd sooner be the person who can provide for my family than just protect, you know?
And you know what? Right there's a good way to finally circle this back around into the right proper overall. Isn't that really what we would want societally? To be able to help people for the long term, for the recovery, for the rehabilitation.
What do you mean by we?
We, as in the royal we, societally speaking.
I think among us, yes, but for most people out there, well, if you somebody who relies on somebody else to make all their survival decisions for them, don't know anything themselves. I think even the concept of other doesn't really exist.
I don't think it's so much that. I think it's more like what we were saying earlier about you don't you may recover from a lot of the symptoms of COVID,
Or anything else, for that matter.
yeah, but you don't come out of it completely unscathed. And some people, yeah, they'll be alive, but they might not be able to breathe very well, or they might not be able to. Uh, Bridget, it was more than just the scarring of the lungs, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can, cause permanent kidney damage. There are people that are
Yeah.
now on dialysis that will be the rest of their lives just because of COVID.
Cognizant
Um,
functions, if I remember right as well.
yeah,
Anywhere where there's there's um, almost molecular level blood, tiny veins. Anywhere
all
in the body.
capillaries and all
Yeah,
that.
capillaries. I'm sorry.
But it's not just the lungs, it's the heart, it's, the liver, the kidneys, the brain. There are people that, supposedly recovered, more than a year ago that are too disabled to work that were perfectly healthy before they got COVID. We're talking people who were long distance runners, doctors, people that were younger and in good shape that can't even walk up a flight of stairs now without having to stop and rest.
Mm-hmm.
And, people that have had to have, double lung transplants. And, it just does a number on you. And then there are people that can't think anymore because they have this constant brain fog.
Yeah.
Or people that are so fatigued that they'll be in the middle of doing something and just fall asleep and they can't control it.
Yeah, let's take just a real quick hot second to absolutely appreciate the fact that the concept of a double lung transplant is even a situation where it's not a, well, they're going to die if we don't try kind of thing. It's something that is like real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, where back when I was a kid, a pacemaker was, pretty significant piece of technology.
Mm-hmm.
When I was born, the laser was only just being invented. And I mean, and Dalan and I have talked about the using stem cells and implanting it onto a 3D printed trachea and getting into trouble because they didn't have paperwork for the air flight.
Okay, that was a WTF news segment I did.
A
No
couple of
lie,
years ago.
probably
Yeah,
9 years ago.
No, it was a little bit more recent than that. But
Well,
even so,
Ginny was around when I did it, so it was at least that long ago.
fair.
So, because it was one of those, like, I used to do a lot of the stupid news, a lot of the not quite Darwin Awards, but damn close. But then I also would throw in occasionally the awesome news, and that was one of them where, yeah, these guys got stopped up on paperwork, and what they had, they had a synthetically created tracheal piece that was going to be surgically implanted into a person. And because they used that person's stem cells to build the rest of it around the 3D printed piece, that was supposed to help with rejection issues. And yeah, they got held up because of a paperwork thing at the airport. And
Oh,
we're
wow.
just like, well, okay, so the paperwork aside, but then I was reading what the problem was. I'm like, wait, they 3D printed a piece of trachea washed it in the guy's stem cells for surgical implantation. You know, it's like, how long before we get 3D printed organs at this rate? You know? Um,
Or be able
yeah,
to regrow them from stem cells, you know?
yeah, but yeah, medical technology has, you know, quantum leaps just even in the past decade.
Yeah.
Don't use quantum
Um,
leaps. Don't use the expression quantum leaps.
uh,
Quantum leaps are tiny and minuscule. Leaps and bounds. Use leaps and bounds.
yeah,
Oh, I thought maybe you had something against Scott Bakula or
No,
something. I don't know.
no.
well,
Well, I
the,
do, but that's, you know.
yeah, the colloquial idea is that it's
I get it. I
basically
get it.
you're changing states almost. So it feels like a quantum leap because you're going from literally, you know, the dark ages to the modern age in a very short amount of time. Anyway, one thing Stephanie did say though, successful societies work together.
Yep.
Okay, circling back, and this is my inner nihilist coming up,
We're screwed.
who I don't like because he's such a downer. But, you know, the black pill is out there, folks. I hate to say it. This is where we have the problem. That kind of society does not come from the top down. This is not something a president or even a governor can mandate without a significant show of force. And you look at places where that kind of enforcement has occurred, it doesn't work out that well for the people. You know, you look at places that deal with these kinds of dictatorships. They will tell you, well, at least everybody gets fed, but everybody is still starving because you don't have enough food. But everybody gets fed. So are you feeding them or are you just prolonging their death? Because you yourself can't do any better because the society hates each other. It has to come from, it literally has to come from within. And yeah, like you said, Bridge, I think in the case of America, there's a lot of we're screwed going on because, well, there's a lot of
We're screwed.
there's a lot of polarization going on down there right now. And a lot of people are benefiting off that polarization while others are um, basically paralyzed by fear and hate and confusion. And there's very little trust and very little want to put that best foot forward and be a society that works together. I mean, you can do it in microcosms, like you could have a neighborhood of, you know, maybe 200-300 people, um, you know, that forms that little community. But, you know, you don't see that in a city of 10 million people. I mean, hell, you sure don't see it where I live. I mean, we're just maybe above 1 million at this point.
Don't see it
I
here either. And we've got
I have no,
less than 100K.
yeah, the only way I know who my next door neighbor is because I've seen her out on the balcony but having a smoke. We've never said two words to each other, and I've lived here 3+ years. Um, I mean, I'm cordial to the people I meet. And this is the bad thing. There is old lady with three-legged dog. That's the only way I know her. And sometimes it's gruff old lady with three-legged dog because, well, when it's cold out, she's got a mood. Uh, you know,
Well,
but
I mean,
yeah,
let's call a spade, shall we? For you guys, when it gets cold.
it does. It does. I fully agree with that.
Yeah, but
Um,
anybody who thinks this is going to be over anytime soon, I mean, they are mistaken.
oh,
You know, there are jobs that have been lost that are not coming back.
yeah,
The economy is is artificially inflated.
yeah,
And so we're looking at a market correction at some point, probably, soon of,
it's coming.
maybe
It's
50% or better.
it's already there. It's analysts have been reporting that the consequences of spending more money than has ever existed
Hmm.
in your country's history, and there's even plans for more. I heard something about over the next couple of years of $10 trillion to keep things going. The trouble is,
You can't keep it going that way.
no,
It's fake. It's a
and
bubble.
yeah, and they're already starting to see the effects of it, but they're just, stay the course, print more money, and if
Yeah,
you don't like it, you're an istophobe. You know,
we've already got inflation going on, and then there are still, these supply chain disruptions. I mean, microchips are a thing that you cannot get.
video cards are a thing. Well, that's crypto.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, it's gonna be pretty freaking hot in Arizona this summer. And what are people gonna do if they have no AC down there? They're gonna die.
There will be a reckoning for all of this, and it's coming. And I was listening to a couple of
Yeah.
reports recently. The economy is showing signs. Basically, the bubble is cracking.
Hmm.
The egg is going to hatch, and when it does, you don't want to be anywhere near it because it's gonna hatch a beast that
Yeah.
it's the consequences are starting to happen. But the thing about it is, what what else can you do? People need money to live. There's no work. Businesses have closed. The government benefits only last for so long, and a lot of people were working jobs where they couldn't put into a 401k, or the maybe the company was run by an asshole who did something that, well, you know what? Yeah, um, sure, we'll contribute to EI, but they don't. I don't know. I don't know even if that's legal, but again, I don't know if some people even care.
What is the
Um,
EI?
Employment insurance.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, like for me, um, every paycheck there's a little deduction that goes to my employment insurance, and if I ever lose my job, I can collect that in installments for X number of months, depending on how long I worked at a company. And it's just a way to help, keep you going until you get another job, in theory.
Well, here, you can only it varies from state to state, but you
Hmm.
have to have, been jobless for so many weeks, and it depends on, circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you were, laid off because of a reduction in force or your business went under or whatever, then you can collect it. But if you were fired or anything like that, then you can't.
Yeah.
You can be damn sure that it's 1,000 times more harder to collect than it is to.
It's very hard to
Yeah.
collect, at least here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Well,
insurance
like,
something
yeah,
else.
for us, uh, if you get fired, you get it. If you get laid off, you get it. If your business shuts down, you get it because it's your money. You paid into it, you get it. That's the way it is.
Well, here, if you get
Um,
fired, you don't. And since we have so many states that are at-will states, they can fire you without cause.
yeah.
But if you're fired, you don't get it.
Yeah. So you see that is a mess up on that level. That is
That's
that is completely
unethical.
messed up.
And
Yeah.
is it
But
the if I'm not mistaken, in the U.S., company can take their company retirement funds and invest it.
Yeah.
oh, the Fed did that under Bush, and that was a catastrophic failure.
So if they lose on the stock market, everybody in their company loses their retirement.
Hmm.
Yep.
Eventually, everybody loses on a stock market. It's just a question of when,
Yep.
because it's just imaginary money. It's fantasy
Yeah.
funds.
As far as I'm concerned, as soon as the money leaves the company, it becomes imaginary.
Yep.
Somebody else.
Well, we're in a housing bubble too. So the last advice that I saw was if you have anything in the stock market, get it out now and sell
Yep.
your shit. Sell
Yeah.
all your shit and sit on your money.
I see a lot of people saying to invest in precious metals, um, because it's a little more secure than the stock market. Thankfully, I don't know if it's thankfully, but I have no stock. But I was telling Shujin this yesterday. 3 years ago, I dropped $20 on Bitcoin. The thought
Oh,
being that no, well, the thought being that I was actually going to start, when I had $20 to spend or to blow, I was going to drop it into this crypto account. It never materialized because, shit happens. Well, I was going through saving it, looking at old passwords and old sites that I've gone to for years, and Coinbase came up, which was the place I'd gone. Uh, I wonder. So I clicked, got in, fixed my account. Yeah, that $20 had actually peaked at 110 not too long ago. Right now it's sitting about 85.
now if you had invested before 2013, you
I
would
didn't even know.
be
I didn't even know what
uh,
Bitcoin was back then.
your $20 would be more than a quick calculation, probably around 460,000.
That's like what is it? Dogecoin, the new one that's come out.
Yeah.
Somebody said if you'd gotten in on the ground floor of that one with 100,000 or with $100, it'd be worth over 30,000 right now.
Mm.
So
But even
now that
that,
I'm
I I I don't I I don't get it. So I tend to be a little
no,
you know.
the trick there is to watch it is to be very observant of it. Like I might start getting back into it now that I'm making an income again, but not whole hog. Like $20 here, $20 there, and just see where it goes. And if let's say around Christmas time, if it's like lots of money, okay, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a nice little Christmas gift. Yoink, and out it comes, and you know,
But
eh,
what are you cashing in on? That's really funny because for me, when it comes to cryptocurrency like this, basically the value is imaginary, and what you're really investing in is everybody else's gullibility.
okay, fine. If that gullibility turns my $20 into 20,000, fine.
You're okay with that.
Uh, and if my gullibility turns somebody else's $1,000 into 100 million, well, good on them.
Hmm.
If everybody goes in and everybody benefits,
Yeah, but everybody's not going to benefit because if you're earning money, that means somebody else is losing.
hmm, yeah.
For
See, I need to learn more about how crypto works. Then,
Yeah, it's just something else to think about. Sorry about that.
well,
Well, if
no,
we go all Mad Max, then Bridget's advice is to invest in uh tobacco, cigarettes, and adult beverages because you can barter like crazy with those things.
Well, I'm going to the country and starting my little farm garden. that get into animal husbandry.
oh, I just had a discussion with somebody just recently, and yeah, it was interesting.
Mm.
Somebody's daughter wanted to get into animal husbandry for 4-H, and they
What is
wanted to
4-H?
raise the guides, the Girl Guides type thing, 4-H club.
Okay,
Yeah, the girl the female version of the Boy Scouts,
all right.
without the controversy,
Mm.
I think. Um, but apparently they had a thing going for animal husbandry where if you had the land, you could take care of a cow and eventually get it to auction. What the girl didn't realize is what happens to the cow after the auction. It typically turns into steak. And that did not sit very well with her. And then she said, "Well, then why don't we get a bull? Because, bulls are used for breeding." I'm like, yeah, and bulls are also very, very, very aggressive. I mean, okay, if you want to, have a red cape and do the whole, ole thing in your spare time, fine. But I don't think they have any armored horses with spears to help in case of problems. So was it was an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Let me backtrack just a little bit though for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of that Joseph just had of just move out to the country, get a much more quiet life in an area where people help each other. They farm stuff, they grow stuff. Everybody kind of pitches in, chips in, helps out every once in a while. I mean that's effectively what we're talking about when all is said and done, on a much lower technological level. It's a matter of sorry.
When you dig down, yeah, it's going to come down to that.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what we were talking about before. That if it's got to build from the bottom up, it's happened multiple times before. I mean, you watch the video of the history of the world, I guess, you see how many times civilizations build up because they can. And there's the quote from the anthropological person who had said that the first idea of civilizations that you would see from digs and whatnot was somebody that had broken and poorly knit bones, knowing full well that they couldn't have been helping the group at large, but they were still, they still had food and protection by the rest. And, we can do that. It's just that for whatever reason, there's been this, what was the term for it, down the crab scramble?
That's not necessarily it.
But it feels like it to me.
Well, crabs in a bucket is more to do with personal achievement and getting out of a particular societal role. That's the analogy, is that you're in a crap neighborhood. Okay, you've lived there all your life. Your parents have lived there. Your grandparents have lived there. Everybody lives there. You don't want to live there anymore. You want to achieve something. You want to be better and get the hell out. That society will do everything in its power to keep you there. That's the crabs in a bucket, is that every time a crab tries to get out, the other ones pull him back down and say, no, you're not better than us. You will never be better than us. You must keep our society as it is. And I think at the core of it is that the people in general are afraid that if you make it, that means that they had given up and they are ashamed. And you've just shown them what kind of a failure they are by getting out, by being able to get out of the bucket.
Can I harp again back to my survive by imitation?
Yes, and that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah, because anything, people who don't judge anything for themselves, anything different from what they were almost indoctrinated with is dangerous.
Mm-hmm. It's like the the kid that goes, the kid that's been on the farm for all his life, and his daddy was on the farm, and his daddy's daddy was on the farm, and then he decides to go out to school because he doesn't want to be a farmer. He wants to be, I don't know, anything but a farmer. And his dad just yells and screams at him that, no, you can't. You have to stay because this farm's been in our family for X generations, and I'll not have my son the one to break the chain and try to guilt him into staying.
And underlying even that is that people in that kind of mindset, that they're, as far as their parenting is concerned, the only option they have is to turn their children into little clones of themselves.
Well, yeah. And maybe 100 years ago, hanging on to that land was important to the next generation because that really was all there was. But times change, and maybe if you go away to the city or go away and become a success somewhere else, you know, let your let the last generation be the last one. Because in the end, it's
But look where that's going, because I mean, even now, you've got corporations buying up farmland everywhere, because and like from failing farmers,
Mhm.
and what are they putting in place? Um, well, there may not be automized cars yet, but there sure as hell are automized tractors.
Well,
Yep.
that's true. That is true.
So if you're in that mindset and you want to go down through the generations, well, that's going to be a dead end.
Yeah.
In present, with the things um, with the things the way they are, I don't think they should be that way. Where you've got corporations. As far as I'm concerned, technology is the new slavery. So they're not paying any humans to produce, but they're counting on humans to pay, and that
Yeah,
also
which
that end.
and yeah, and that becomes a real paradox when it's like the manufacturing jobs that have been outsourced to overseas. They still expect you to consume, but how do you consume when you have no money to do it with, and you can't find a job because the job you had was outsourced overseas? It's it's almost a type of insanity on the part of corporations like that to take away your source of income but still expect you to pay for their products.
Yeah, which is why they're only catering to the top levels of
Yeah.
um, the economy, quote unquote.
Yeah. And so I think you've got a point there about, wanting to move away from, like, get out of the city, go live in a small town. And especially these days with people in more white collar jobs like myself. Um, I made a joke on Friday that, come July, I'll be taking my weekly meetings out on the deck, with a drink, non-alcoholic, because I'll be on work hours. Um, but the ability to work remotely for a lot of people means you're not obligated to live in the city anymore. You're not even obligated to go into the city anymore. So you can be theoretically more part of your own community. Like, okay, my setup maybe not that ideal, but there are probably other places like in the suburbs where, now that you can telecommute, you know, you could be more involved in your area and probably develop that sense of society once more, even if it's just a microcosm. Like, if you don't need to commute, 3 hours a day into the downtown core like you do in Toronto. uh, I've heard horror stories about their commuting. Efficient as the transit system is, it still takes a long ass time to get to the office. Um, and a lot of people are saying that even when it is safe to go back, a lot of people aren't going to because they just don't feel a need for it. Many people feel they're more productive at home now. They're more relaxed because they don't spend 2 hours in traffic and then come in, already three Starbucks to the wind with caffeine sit down and, with the shakes as they fire up their computer. Instead, they get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, throw on a shirt, make sure the camera's angled up enough to make sure that they don't see that you're not wearing pants. Not that I have anything to do with that. Um, and just go about your day. And, when if you need to step away from your computer, you can go over to your couch, relax a little bit, wait for that ping for your next meeting, then get up, go back, sit at your computer, do what you got to do, get up, go back to the sofa, whatever. At the end of the day, as long as you do everything you need to do, that should be all that counts.
It's almost like intentionally forcing the grind onto somebody has been detrimental to people's long-term mental and emotional health.
But
Geez, as somebody that used to work phones for a while, geez, I can't imagine why a change like that would make people say, no, I don't want to be bothered going into an office where people are watching every 15-second increments and timing how long it is for me before I come back from going to the bathroom.
But now consider this. What if this pandemic had happened 15 years ago? Dial-up internet was still a thing in many places. Rural wireless didn't really exist in any way, shape, or form. High speed was, I'd say, in open beta at that point, I think.
ISDN cable operations were coming online quite significantly. Fiber was for the people in the business districts. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. And then you think about security, networking software, VPNs, remote desktop. A lot of this stuff, it was not even on the radar back then. You imagine if we'd had a pandemic like this at that point in time, a lot of businesses would have, and I'm talking big industrial business, would have fallen apart. Or you'd all be going into work in hazmat suits somehow.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. So, and again, this is more for, I'll admit I've got a pretty soft job, one that I can do from home, or I could do from an office, either way. There are still people that need to physically be somewhere. Hospitals, road crews, law enforcement, fire department, all the essential services are still needed. Logistics, to make sure that trucks are loaded up properly. I mean, there's a lot of automation involved with that these days that I've seen, but you still need people to do it. And I do feel for those people, believe me. But I mean, for the most part, if you don't have to go to an office to do a job, why would you? If you have the option.
It would be a big difference if offices were allowed to have pets. Very specifically, I'm thinking something that's a little less than, something less than a baying hound. I mean, kittens in an office.
Oh yeah, my my boss, I've only seen him on camera once, but he'll have up to 3 cats in his office at any one time, and I think one jumped up in front of him one time, and I kind of chuckled. I went, whatever, it's cool, but like he said, he gets more done there. He doesn't have to worry about traffic, which is huge. that's 3 more spoons in the drawer that you can actually put to something better. If we want to circle the analogy back, uh, because yeah, traveling that, and then do you get to the office on time? That anxiety. There's another spoon. That's just one more piece one more bit of energy that you can't use to suddenly focus on what you need to do for the day.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, there are certain pieces that the intangibles. You don't have to worry about parking. You don't have to worry
mhm,
about, is anything going to happen to your vehicle while you're there? Where are you
yeah,
going to go ahead and deal with food? You don't have to worry about how much is gas right now. Where are you going to gas up?
yeah,
There it's almost like taking this extra stress off of people has a long-term benefit. And I know we haven't been talking about, the medical recovery side of it all specifically, but you consider we've all been in the middle of a global medical emergency. It kind of is still the same part of it all. If you
yeah,
try to, if you try to have people be nicer to each other instead of having the middle manager, like I said, literally keeping a watch of the every 15-second metric and
mhm,
giving people shit for it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's exactly what it's like working in a call center. Yes,
yeah.
I know.
The I got a welcome conference call from the CEO my first Friday,
Nice.
and it was me and 12 other people who were on board at that week. And you want to talk casual? The dude sitting on a patio restaurant, uh, beautiful day, and I think it was Orlando. Yep, golf shirt. Pretty sure he was shorts and flip flops, sipping on his iced coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we just shot the shit for an hour. Like, total casual. And the idea with that is, be comfortable. And in a lot of places, I mean, I worked for an oil company in the office, and you were expected. It was suit and tie every day. And for a guy who wasn't getting paid that much, let's just say you can find places where you can end up looking the part and maybe not spending more than $60. It's a stretch, but you can do it. Um, so, there's that stress as well, having to look professional and everything. And right now, I can, as long as I have a clean shirt on and the camera sees me from, the neck up, that's all that matters now. You know, did I wear shorts all of last week? Yeah, I did. I did because it actually was getting warm in this place. Nobody's going to see my lower half, so who cares? There's a joke about that on TV. People working remotely only have to dress from the waist up. Well, it's true.
Yep.
You know, and I think that will go a lot for overall recovery. I think it'll help us bounce back a lot once this is all over and we can sort of reevaluate what we really need to do to keep going. Um, I was saying to a few people, downtown Calgary's got a lot of high rises. I
Hmm.
mean, one of
Yeah.
the largest building downtown was only finished maybe, just a handful of years ago. The Bow. I I'm thinking that when this is all over, that building is going to be largely empty. There's going to be a real estate vacuum
Yep.
downtown because nobody's going to need it anymore.
Yeah,
And
we've talked about that too. Yeah.
and some people might say, well, just turn it into apartments. You should see how many apartments there are downtown. Trust me, there's plenty. So
So maybe there is an opportunity for groups to reevaluate.
I wish I could.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's at least locally here, people are acting out, and it's scary.
yeah,
And then we
Yeah.
have, our stupid governor. I mean, he's done, I mean, to be fair, he's done a decent job as far as handling things, you know, during COVID and stuff, but he's made some really, really bad decisions that I think are just making things worse.
yeah,
We have a gun problem down here anyway, and a meth problem. And with meth and guns, the two don't play well together.
yeah,
But he has, well, it's not just him, it's also, the Congress critters that are here at the state level, have this bright idea that we need to be an absolute Second Amendment carry state, which means more guns for more people with no licensing, no registration, no nothing. Just let everybody have guns.
yeah. And you see that I have a problem with.
I do too, because, if a gun is used to commit a crime, you need to be able to know whose it is. And I think people need to be trained on how to use them. I mean, at the very least, they need to be registered or licensed.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be in support of having mandatory classes for someone to own one. It's a problem we've got here is people are so short-tempered now that if an argument or something happens in the street or somebody honks at you at a red light, then people start popping out guns, and they don't know how to use them, and so they send people to the hospital with really stupid gunshot injuries that I would be embarrassed to go to the hospital for. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, no,
And it's crazy.
I was talking to somebody, and they had apparently gone to a conceal and carry class where they actually learned how to, what the responsibilities were, what kind of holsters you can get, and it ended with everybody going out to the range. And I think that's the big thing with a lot of people is if you want to buy a gun, you should have to go out to a range and actually learn to shoot. And I would be willing to bet that the first time you put that gun on that stock on your shoulder and pull that trigger, you're going to get a whole new respect for just exactly what you've purchased. I think that's what a lot of people need to do. I heard a story of, and again, this happened in Mississippi where, okay, uh, TLDR, dude walks into a convenience store to rob the place, pulls a gun. 7 people are in the convenience store. 5 of them draw down on the guy and hold him there till the police show up.
And here I thought it was going to be one of those pulls a gun, which promptly topples out of his hand onto the countertop.
Oh, no, 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 no. Apparently this guy just thought that he was cool because he had a gun. But yeah, 5 other people said, no, son, that is not how we do things here. You need to calm down. Just waiting there for the police. And of course, Mississippi is one of those states that has the castle doctrine, which means if someone breaks into your house, you have the legal right to blow them in half with a shotgun.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It is what it is.
So
Yeah, I mean,
You
if
know,
somebody came into my house, I probably would not have a problem shooting them.
that's the thing. That's the
I've had
caveat.
somebody try to get in my house before, and it was scary as hell.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I mean, we lived, in downtown Little Rock at the time. And the thing about it was somebody trying to come in a little before 6 a.m. on a work day when all the neighbors were still home getting ready for work. And he kept trying to bust the door down. And he could see my face, I could see his face, and he even saw my husband's face, and he still kept trying to bust the door down. And I don't think he was coming in for croissant and coffee.
well, did you had croissant and coffee out?
For him? Oh, hell no. But
Maybe,
but my husband ended up going back to the bedroom and grabbing 38 and pointing it at the dude through the window, and then he decided maybe he'd better leave.
Yeah.
But had my husband not done that, then I'm sure that he would have done something horrible to one or both of us.
we've
And
only
it's
got
just pretty brazen to do that at that time in the morning when all the neighbors are home. I mean, shit.
we're getting pretty close to needing to see about wrapping up. Dalan and I have had a little bit more talk time, so I think.
As usual.
Well, I mean, what I find funny about it, though, I mean, and please be laughing. I really hope. The times when you finally say, you know what, yeah, okay, I think I'll step my toe in, and all of a sudden you're all the way up to the top of your head. So, what's the old joke? You had nobody grabbed you and dragged you in here, Wallflower. You did that on your own.
Good to have you here, Dalan. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm going too much, y'all have every right to tell me just to shut the hell up so you can get a word in edgewise,
No, this was great. And I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah. So,
But you had a lot of catching up to do. All
True.
that pent up.
True.
Yeah. You caught me in a good mood.
And I'm very happy for that. Okay. So, how about we just gonna take a little bit of a back seat? Well, I mean, we've only got a couple of minutes left before we got to properly close it up. Joseph, what's still left for you to put there for us for tonight?
Well, I'm good for tonight.
Well, that makes it easy. Brigid, how about for you?
Well,
I mean,
I haven't had a haircut or anything done to my hair since March 18th of last year. And I finally have an appointment scheduled, but it's not until June because the stylist was booked up.
imagine that.
So I'm actually going to get something done to my hair in a few weeks. But yeah, this whole past year and some change has been just hella traumatic. And there is not going to be going back to the way that it was. This is the new normal, and we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. I guess that's it.
It's fair to say that. I mean, trying to figure out what the new norm is. I mean, people have pointed out, the old norm was literally killing us, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And part of that is, the pandemic that came in and bitch slapped everybody across the top of the head. And that, like I said, is a piece where it showed in very stark relief the difference between just a little bit of care, just the minorest of care for each other, would make all the difference in the world. And in this incredible technological age, one of the greatest and simplest things for trying to help each other out, homemade pieces of cloth to put over your face so you don't cough on anybody. I mean, this is something that they've been doing in Asia for literal decades. You got a cold, you got the sniffles, you don't want people to be necessarily around you, and you don't want to be accidentally sneezing on somebody. You put one on. And if you can still go about your day, you do that. And it's because culturally, that's what you do. Because from the ground up, it helps everybody else around with the absolute bare minimum of effort. And if only we could do that to help each other through in so many other pieces, this recovery that we've got is going to take so much longer, because there are people who don't even want to be bothered with just this little bit. And for those of you that say, I can't breathe when I'm walking around with one of these.
Oh, don't get me started on I can't breathe.
For those of you that say, I can't breathe with one of these because while I'm walking around, the problem is that you are out of shape and you've been sedentary. It's not that you can't breathe. It's that you're out of shape and just can't breathe anyway. It wouldn't make a damn difference.
I just have one thing to say about people who I can't breathe. Drama queen.
That's fair.
Especially with a surgical mask. I mean,
Oh, I got two words for you. Two little words. You can't breathe? Pulmonary embolism.
yeah.
That's when you really can't breathe.
True that.
And if one of the largest effects of COVID is blood clots, that's what can happen. It's happened to me. And that I made it through that one and two more. There are many people who actually consider me blessed because of that. I was just damn lucky.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, so yeah, you can't breathe because of a little piece of cloth on your face. Tell me how much you're going to be breathing right before they stick the ventilator down your throat,
Yep.
because that's what you're risking.
It is safe to say that that is not a pleasant experience, and let's just leave it there.
Yeah.
For reasons. So, folks, as always, thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives, and you got something to think about for the weeks ahead. Guys, thanks for being able to make it. Joseph, you take care of yourself, and just as always, be safe. I hope things work out well for you the upcoming week.
Yeah, well, you too, sir. Thank you.
Brigid, you too. You try to take care of yourself, would you please?
Yeah, I will. I will do my best. Monday is going to be a challenge, and hopefully I won't kill anybody. Hopefully they won't kill me.
I would very much appreciate that if you didn't.
Yeah, no matter what happens, I am wearing a mask, and people can just kiss my butt.
Or not, considering that there are receptors down there, and we don't want that to...
Well, there are receptors down there, but
don't.
if anybody's got a problem with it, they can just go fuck themselves.
Speaking of which, let's see, how many are we going to get today? Because there's the people that want to be crafty and crazy with you, so that's one group. Let's see, who else are we going to get over here? Well, we could add to the group whoever it is that's dragging their feet at DOJ, but that's just me, right?
Yeah. Mike Pence.
Mike Pence is a good one.
and about 99% of the people in the GOP.
Yep, that's true.
And the crazy people that are doing the audit in Arizona. What the hell?
That's not a power 10, not a power 10, not a power 10.
Oh God,
Yeah.
they're still kicking that horse.
Dude,
Yes,
we'll talk.
they are.
We'll talk.
There's an official statement out from the former guy. Ooh.
We'll talk. And,
Yeah,
of course, Mr. Matt Gates, soon to be interned somewhere. How about we put him and the Magic the Gathering chick and just put them in the same cell? That'd be nice.
all I can say is tick-tock, Matt.
Yep.
Monday should be interesting for you, buddy.
We'll have to wait on that. So you take care of yourself.
You.
And Dalan, welcome home, buddy.
It was fun. It's been a while. Good to see I still got the chops of this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and thanks to some new software I've discovered, should be able to get this audio episode up as soon as YouTube lets me grab the audio. So that will be over at holycrapthevlogcast.com, which is up to date as of now. Kind of slipped there. And then, of course, I'm still working on my own projects. Got my own blog over at inthewind.yo5.ca and still doing the audio blog of a wannabe podcast novelist over at kickit.yo5.ca.
Good job, man. Seriously, thank you. Over in the live chat, Stephanie, sorry you're all alone tonight, but, glad you're able to make it. You take good care of yourself, huh? Seriously. Just, we concern for you over there. Just be careful. And, of course, as always, all the information that we need is over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. Phone number, if you'd like to leave a message, is 859-8CTV 554 859-4288-554. I don't know what's going to be happening for next week at the moment. The next week or two may be hit or miss for the first time in a while. We will see how that plays out at the moment. Their reasons, not the least of which is next week marks 16 years since we lost my wife on the 22nd. So I'm very likely going to be taking a little bit of mental time, which I know for well that there have been a bunch of people who've said, you take whatever time you need. Yeah, I don't really feel like I should sometimes, but what can I tell you? I've got a Superman complex, I guess. In any case, please stay safe. If you're eligible for vaccinations, please, really just do it. Wear your masks. Be careful. And thank you for being with us. So until the next time, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. 16 years. I am still in love. Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.